raise the water rate. So if your bill now reflects, and I guess just an example of this, at the current rate for a 3/4 inch line at $10.50, that rate will now be going up to $12. And it will be doing so accordingly to the size of the line and the amount of commodity used. And we're also adopting I believe a 3-tier system. Tier 1 being 0 to 30,000 gallons. Tier 2 would be 30,000 plus. And Tier 3 would be 60,000 gallons, which is a very high-end user. That's getting to swimming pool type specifications there. Now, this decision wasn't made arbitrarily. There was a lot of conversation, a special meeting. We took into consideration the JK study, which recommended water rate increases in some of our, what you pay for over the next 3 years. This, like I said, it's equivalent to about a 10.5% increase in there. And like I said, it wasn't done arbitrarily. The cost of goods and services is going up. The cost of the commodity is going to go up, and commodity being water. We are being faced as a community, as a city, with an aging infrastructure. From the 1st of July of 2023 to April 30th of this year, there was 15 breaks, and Mr. Siva put this together, and that was a cost to the city of $143,703.89. Frankly speaking, it's hard to come by. Water department doesn't have that much money, so we're basically paying for an aging infrastructure, and as it ages out, it's either going to have to be replaced or repaired. And even we are getting to the point now that some repairs are so difficult that, worst case scenario, if you have a line break in front of your house and they go to put a compression band on there to stop the leak and cover it up, now just compressing that pipe will cause that pipe to fill. So that's where our infrastructure is below us. It's an outdated system, and we're not even starting to talk about the cost of rules and regulations that we have to comply with for Department of Health rules regarding PFAS. Everything is going to cost money. The cost of compliance, the cost of maintaining our water infrastructure. They just replaced a SCADA system, which costs money. And when they start talking about actuators and flow tubes, they're not in the hundreds of dollars, they are in the thousands of dollars, and it's mind-boggling. And that's the why we are faced with this. We have the looming decision of the Arkansas Valley conduit, which was brought up in short measure by Mr. Siva. Whether we are in or out with the conduit is going to cost money. It's going to cost us to buy into it. If we decide not to get involved with the conduit, we are going to be tasked with the things that we have to do to provide a sustainable and safe drinking water supplies to the communities that we serve and the citizens that we serve. So again, and it doesn't end there. The utility board is going to have to go right back into discussion, considering water weight increases for next year. So I'm just going to get out in front of that. So I'm just going to keep going with the utility board report with that. I know that's not pleasant news, but
before you go on to that though, Paul, just because I have been asked, and even tonight we were asked, this has nothing to do with the 1% sales tax, okay? That 1% sales tax all went to the general fund. That has nothing to do with our enterprise funds. Water is an enterprise fund. So I know no one likes getting rate increases, but when you say something like, well, why did we do a rate increase when we just passed the 1% sales tax? They're two separate things. You cannot use that 1% to go into an enterprise fund, the water fund, or anything like that. So I want that clear for everybody watching in the audience and at home. They are two separate things. So that passing that 1% did not help our water fund. It did not help our electric fund. It did not help any of our enterprise funds.
And if you don't mind if I add on, Mr. Mayor, those who don't know, on the enterprise funds, they cannot finish the budget year in the negative. It's against state law to have them finish. And you cannot use the general fund money to balance that out to where you may have to borrow money from one enterprise fund to another, but that has to be paid back. So that's one thing that we are looking at as well was making sure that we balance the budget in the positive on all of our enterprise funds without being able to use, and we can't use the general fund as stated earlier. So I just wanted to make sure that we're all clear on that as well. We gotta meet those state regulations.
Sorry, Paul, I just wanted to get clear.
I'd like to remind that we've lost about 600,000 in the last two years.
I think you just did, if you didn't hear it, we just lost about 600,000 over the last 2 years, so that's, yeah, so each year of $600,000. That's not mismanagement, that is just the cost of doing business in today's world. Moving on to the electric department, now we talked about, I just talked about the aging infrastructure below us. Now we have an aging infrastructure above us. When Mr. Arguello made a pretty profound statement, he says the wind fightens our weak poles. So when we get these wind events, these strong winds and they're breaking poles, that's how we're finding them, Now, I'm not saying there's going to be an increase with that, but I'm just letting you know where we are as far as infrastructure in the city of Wilhunna. So, and also from Mr. Arguello, I know there was a blackout during one of the last big wind events. Now, if there's winds in excess of 35 miles an hour, they're not gonna get up in the bucket truck until those winds subside to at least 35 miles an hour and below. If there's any rain in conjunction with that wind, they're not gonna get there, but they are at the problem site at that time. Now, a bit of good news, Kaylee Armendariz was the winner of the Wilhunna Electric Department's and ARPA scholarship, so congratulations to her.
Yes,
So, I'm
congratulations.
trying to buffer her good. I'm not done. For those people with the concern about the pumps at First and Bradish, they are both on manual now. When they opened that up, when SBT went in there and started working on them, they were both in pretty bad shape. They had to order more parts. And starting, I think, a week from this coming Monday or Tuesday, since there's a holiday, they'll be working on it again. Hopefully within 2 weeks after that, those pumps will be on automatic. Okay, now moving on to streets. Again, if you drive around Wilhunna, you're gonna find a pothole or two. But this is concentrating on the 1400 block of Radish and
Grace.
and 1400 block of Grace and the 1600 block. What they're starting to do is go in there and see, if you've driven that, there's some pretty massive cracks. I mean, I measured one, and I think it was 4.5 inches in between. So what they're doing is going 2 feet on either side, removing that out, and talking to Martin, our city engineer, they were hoping to find at least there would be a base under that. There is not. So what they're going to have to do is add a base, fill the crack, and then pave over it. And that's how we're going to do away with all those cracks out there. So city's working hard in all aspects of our infrastructure. Utility board's doing what we can. And hopefully we can do enough, because this doesn't matter about the past, how we got here. We have to look about going forward into the future of the city. So, thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Paul. And just so people know, on the 35 on the electric, it's not just because the bucket truck will move, it's because the trees next to them can blow at 35 and fall onto them while they're working. So we thank all of our linemen and our water crew who go out on weekends and bad weather, just to be ready to go up there to get you guys' power back on and get your water fixed. If you see something that doesn't look right, please say something. My wife, we came home from pickleball the other night, and she seen a ton of water running down San Juan. She called Megan, and they came out and they got it fixed, but the people had no idea that they were losing a lot of water behind their house. So make sure you guys say something. The other thing with the utility thing that I want to mention too is that JK study came out last year, correct? But we've been working on it longer. There's going to be more increases coming down. You know, whether it's water, wastewater, even electric. So it's done in order to get us to where we need to be. We don't want the wind testing our poles. We want to play offense on a lot of things, whether it's our utility lines, whether it's our water in town. We want to be able to play offense, but we can't right now. We have to be so reactive, and we're at the mercy of any break. When we did our SCADA system, that's when we had our big leak on Adams. Is that right in the middle of that? And then that also plays with Chief Davidson and fires if we don't have our water going. So it's not done to make a ton of money. It's done to survive at this point. So that's what we're doing right now.
Absolutely. And tomorrow they'll be posting the water rate increase on Facebook, so it'll look like this. Gary, you pointed out an error that's been corrected.
Not on this one, this one's right. You alright?
The one that I have should be right.
Yes,
The one
yes.
that you do, yes.
Okay, yeah, the first one was,
Yes.
this one is, okay. And another thing, we could use the public's help. If you see a septic truck dumping directly into a manhole, that is an illegal dump. That creates a stress on our situation. It is a problem for us. So as a citizen, if you see a septic truck dumping into an illegal manhole, call it in. I'm not asking anybody to go and make contact with that driver or those people doing it. Or if you know of anybody dumping into a grease trap that they shouldn't be doing, or it's, like I said, if it doesn't look right, like the mayor said, say something. So we can address those issues as well. So I think that's almost everything.
Any other committee and board reports?